Okay, now we can start this second lecture about Phillips curve. Phillips estimate this relation between the inflation rate and the unemployment rate using US data between 1860 and 1958. Or inflation rate and unemployment rate, um, using as model specification a linear relation between the inflation rate and the unemployment rate. What he found was this kind of relation. We have the unemployment rate and the inflation rate, a sort of combination of data. In this way, this empirical set of data, or couple inflation rate and unemployment rate, seems to suggest a negative relation between the inflation rate and the unemployment rate. During the 70s, Samuelson and Solow showed that this relation seems not to exist, because using data between 1900 and 1970, what we get is a sort of combination of data between inflation rate and employment rate, which is difficult to understand if this relation is positive or is growing or decreasing. And so from this intuition we can justify the modern formulation of the Phillips curve. In this sense, we have that when we have the initial formulation of the Phillips curve, we have a row, a decreasing line like this between the inflation rate and the unemployment rate. But during this period, there was on average the inflation. Oh, sorry, we have to delay the blackboard so we can try to explain the modern formulation of the Phillips curve. This is the initial Phillips curve in which the expectation of inflation was equal to 0, because during the period used by Philip, the average inflation rate was very close to 0. In this sense, the natural rate of unemployment, which is the rate of unemployment which gives an actual inflation rate equal to the expected inflation rate, was at this level. But after the Great Depression, the expansionary policies bring give an unemployment rate, for instance, equal to U prime, so lower than the natural level of unemployment. And in this case, if this unemployment rate is permanent or is for many years, it's not possible that the inflation rate is, for instance, also if we have an expectation equal to 0, is equal to pi 1. But if this level of inflation rate didn't change, also the expectation in inflation rate grows, and we have the Phillips curve goes up with a new level of expectation equal to pi 1. According to Friedman and Phelps, if we have an increase, we have then an increase in inflation rate equal to until to pi 2. And if the unemployment rate stay at this level, lower than the natural unemployment rate, we have a continuous increase in inflation rate. This is the explanation of the apparent disappear of the Phillips curve, because there is a change in the expectation. In order to better understand this new formulation of Phillips curve, we can rewrite the Phillips curve as we derive in theory as pi t, the actual inflation rate, equal to the expected inflation rate plus mi plus zeta z minus alpha and the rate of inflation. We can assume that the expectation of the inflation rate is equal to inflation rate in the previous period. What does it mean? That we are assuming that the inflation rate follow what is called a random walk. In this case, we can write the new Phillips curve in the following way: pi t minus 1 equal to mi plus z minus alpha ut, where this difference is the change in the inflation rate, and is crucial. Now we can derive the natural level of unemployment. We can write again the Phillips curve in the following way: the change in inflation rate equal to mi plus z minus alpha times the unemployment rate. What we can see that this is equal to 0 when ut is equal to mi plus z divided by alpha, and we can define this unemployment rate as natural level of unemployment, which is an unemployment that can't, or that corresponding on this value of unemployment, there is no change in inflation rate. We can write this new formulation of the Phillips curve in the following way: on the vertical axis we put the change in the inflation rate, so pi t minus 1, and on the horizontal axis the unemployment rate. We have this decreasing relation between the change in inflation rate and the unemployment rate. Just an intuition, we can rewrite this in terms of natural level of unemployment in the following way, because we have that pi t minus 1 equal to minus alpha, which multiplies ut minus un. We can rewrite this without 0, this in terms of natural level of unemployment. In this formulation, we can see that if the unemployment rate is lower than the natural level of unemployment, we increase in the rate of inflation. So when UN is the unemployment rate is equal to UN, or the natural level of employment, there is no change in inflation rate. But this does not mean that there is no inflation. There is a positive inflation, but this inflation doesn't change. If the inflation rate is lower than the natural level of inflation, we have an increase in the inflation rate, which means that we have a continuous increase in the inflation rate. If the unemployment rate is higher than the natural level of inflation, we have a decrease in inflation rate, a continuous decrease in inflation rate. This is very important, because we can also estimate the value of the natural level of inflation, considering, for instance, data about the change in the inflation rate respect to unemployment, A0 minus A1 UT, in order to establish some kind of relation between the change in inflation rate and the rate of unemployment. To compute these two parameters, in this sense, the inflation rate that does not increase or decrease the inflation rate will be the natural level of unemployment, which can be computed as A0 divided by A1. So we can estimate these two parameters in order to have an idea of what is which is the natural level of unemployment. If we take a look to this formulation of inflation, natural rate of unemployment, we can see that a huge level of ME, or low competition in the market, means an increase, a huge unemployment rate, natural unemployment rate. So we can see also systematic difference between natural level of unemployment in a country respect to other countries, for instance, in Italy and in the US. What we expect is that the natural level of unemployment in the US is lower than the natural level of unemployment in Italy, given ME and Z, for difference level of ME, because we expect that ME in US is lower than ME than in Italy, because the level of competition in Italy is not the same we have in US. So it's a good idea try to increase the level of competition in Italy, especially in order to decrease the level of natural unemployment in Italy.